Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, is Tony Khan finally done with CM Punk?
Please God. AEW Talent are really frustrated at the decision to air the all-in backstage footage.
We're going to tell you everything you need to know about the Young Bucks' role in all of this.
And a backstage update on Will Ospreay's promo from Dynamite. I'm Adam Wilborn.
It's all kicking off.
And this is the news.
Alright, so yeah, we're still talking about CM Punk and the footage and all of this stuff,
good.
and they just choked him a little bit, and Jack Perry and his t-shirt selling out, and Young Bucks and Will Ospreay and Tony Khan and Bad Blood and Taylor Swift and Kendrick Lamar. I prefer. What's the best version of that song? I'd say the Kendrick
version.
Yeah, me too. It's much harder. Tony Khan appears to finally be done with CM Punk after this week's episode of Dynamite, on which he obviously aired the clip of the backstage fight from All In, and obviously the clip was done as a means of furthering Jack Perry's return and the Young Bucks versus FTR. We'll talk about Adam's thoughts on it a little bit, because I think I gave my thoughts a little bit too much yesterday.
Oh, it's fascinating. I loved hearing you and Hamlet talk about it.
We went 36 minutes. Crazy. But yeah, Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Wrestling Observer Live stated that people within AEW believe that Tony Khan has gotten the CM Punk drama out of his system now. After all of this, he stated that Khan himself has claimed the situation is done and that he is moving on from all of this. Now, Alvarez noted as well that everyone in AEW and WWE were talking about this. Everyone was invested in this backstage. We'll talk a little bit more about the reactions when we get to your story, of course. But yeah, obviously, Khan was front and center for both of CM Punk's big blow-ups. He was sitting right beside him at the Brawl Out press conference when Punk unleashed his flamethrower on the world, specifically the elites. And then, of course, famous quote, "I feared for my life," during the brawl between Punk and Perry. Khan isn't actually shown on screen in the footage, but it's maybe safe to assume that he was the guy behind the monitors that got kind of wrecked a little bit. And when you see Punk leaning over and
gesticulating,
going like this. Punk has previously stated on the MMA Hour interview, which is where all of this came from, that he said to Tony in the aftermath of the Perry fight, "I quit. What you gonna do? You suck," or something like that.
Yes.
I know this is paraphrasing, obviously. But
and then he went out and had a 3.5-star classic with Samoa Joe.
The best 3.5-star match I've ever seen.
Yes.
Dave Meltzer. But yes, there we go. Me and Hamfley gave what I think was a pretty nuanced breakdown yesterday. Tell me what you think.
I'm not going to go on about this for too much, because I'm just so sick of talking about it. But I think now that dust has settled, don't get me wrong, I was fascinated to watch Dynamite as soon as I woke up on Thursday morning, which was, I'll be honest, later than expected. Thanks, jet lag. But I watched it and thought, this really seems like a dumb idea. And that seems to be the general consensus about this. I get it, he wants to fire back, he's pissed off with Punk, doing what he did on the MMA Hour. This wasn't the way to handle it, in my opinion. I don't think it's really benefited anyone within AEW. I thought the Young Bucks came out of it looking quite funny in terms of we didn't have a chance to pray and all that. That was quite a nice little bit of that's the reason why we lost to FTR. But in service of a bigger picture, it was a really bad idea to air this. It's not made them look like the better people. It's not had the right effect with all the parties. And by all reports, which I'm about to get into, it's just pissed a lot of people off. And he says he's got it out of his system. But I've had mates who've said, that ex-girlfriend, she's out of my system, mate. And then late at night, they fire off that message. I just really hope Tony Khan's not awake late at night with the ability to message or publicly pronounce something on a social media site, perhaps. Can we just please, God, let's move on. After I've talked about the aftermath of this backstage within AEW, because as you've heard, no doubt, it's pissed a lot of people off, the decision to air this. Dave Meltzer talking about it on Wrestling Observer Radio, saying a lot of people are really frustrated at the decision to air the footage. Meltzer said, you need to get past this. You know what I mean? It does nobody any good. I heard from people this week, a couple of people, when Punk did his interview, people were like, look, it's over and done with. Most people were like, look, it's out of our lives. It's not part of our lives. It's not part of our company. Forget about it. And then Tony obviously says, no, we're going to air the footage. And Meltzer says, as soon as Tony did that, then I started to hear from people who were just really frustrated going, oh, now it's back. There have been things that have happened and people have been made to look bad now and they can't answer back. It opened up a wound that needed to be closed. They need to move past this. This doesn't do AEW any good. If I'm Punk, I'm laughing about it, honestly. Also, did I see Punk post a mission accomplished thing to his Instagram?
George W. Bush. Wow.
Excellent patter.
Well, yeah. Yes, this whole thing. Look, I guess if you want to try and look for positives, Jack Perry's t-shirt sold out.
Yeah.
And they popped a pretty good rating of 0.3, which was up from the previous week, 0.23. That's a good rating.
Will it sustain?
This is it. I don't think that a single person who tuned in had their mind changed. I think that Punk's haters were emboldened, and I think his supporters were emboldened. No matter what side you are on, you built another wall after the airing of this footage, is my theory, at very least. I can see why people would be upset. I can see why people wouldn't want to be associated with this stuff. At the same time, like you said, it is car crash TV that you can't look away from.
Yeah.
I don't think it helped that this week's Dynamite across the board, in my opinion, was a bit so-so compared to recent weeks, certainly. I mean, none of it was as bad as Daddy Ass versus Jay White, admittedly, which we watched in disbelief.
First time I had to watch it live in America for years, and I'm like, what the hell's this?
Oh, what? Yeah, it was mind-blowing. But yeah, look, this footage debate is not ending anytime soon. The debate rumbles on.
Yeah, look, it's one final thing on this. I think what annoys me more than all the people getting pissed off is the fact that it's kind of thrown AEW off their game. They were recovering, in my opinion. I think they really turned the corner at the start of this year. You talked about the tournament being a bit of a reset for them, and like, oh, here's getting back to our roots of just quality wrestling week in and week out. And it felt like that was happening. The ratings may not have bared that out, but you had all this exciting new talent, your Okadas, your Monets, your Ospreays. You had all these, you're building towards dynasty. And then it's like they've taken their eye off the ball, Tony Khan has, and said, oh, let's go over this old ground all over again. Let's talk about someone who's not going to be involved in the company ever again, probably, or who knows, to be honest. But not involved right now, is involved with the other competition that have in their huge WrestleMania weekend. I just think it's going to be one of those decisions that everyone looks back on and goes, yeah, I can see you've been pissed off by this interview. I just think you'll look back and say it was probably a bad idea.
Yeah, 100%. And look, Punk was wrong. You cannot shove someone and put them in a headlock at work. Like, that's not how employment works. But also, I don't think that maintaining employment was one of his priorities.
The summary of my feelings about this whole thing is that guy you see just after the fight kicks off, who's just like, oh.
Chris Hero.
Is that Chris Hero?
That's his on-screen debut in AEW.
Brilliant.
Oh, God.
I saw a great tweet. It was like, oh, I'm going to have meetings about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't trust me. We don't need any more information, love.
You watch your grease.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's talk about the Young Bucks. So there was a report yesterday. It was the PW Torch's Wade Keller, who reported that some sources claimed the Young Bucks weren't in favour of all of this. Obviously, they presented the footage and the whole thing was, we weren't prepared for our FTR match, so we lost as a result of this. Storyline stuff. That was reported, that was doing the rounds. This has kind of been rubbished by Fightful Select. The Young Bucks were fine with it, basically. They were fine with all of this. In kayfabe, obviously, the storyline considerations, blah, 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 blah. I've just mentioned those. But yeah, the Young Bucks did not. They weren't like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I figured that would be the case, to be honest. When I saw that report, I was like, really? Because I know at the end of the day, everything is Tony Khan's decision. He is the head honcho. But they're like the rung below him, heavily involved in all of this. And I sense that they might not necessarily be able to completely veto a thing, but I doubt he just went, sod it, we're doing the all-in footage, and they found out on Twitter or whatever, or they were just like, maybe they did, maybe they didn't think it was a good idea, but I thought the Young Bucks in this scenario made the best of something very bad.
Yeah, for sure. And we should note as well, because the Wade Keller report has been misconstrued quite a bit, he did also cite another source that noted the Young Bucks were willing participants in this. So, obviously you go for the most salacious thing and pick that out. But there's some other stuff in there as well. It is what it is.
Yeah, there was numerous reports actually. You could move on to my final story surrounding sort of mixed messages, let's say, coming out of AEW, because obviously Will Ospreay also took shots on that Dynamite at Triple H, saying, normally I wouldn't rise to this type of bait, but seeing how the guy who said it is only in the position because he was grinding the boss's daughter, you have no business telling me what the grind is all about, my friend. You have no idea what I fight for. Basically, obviously, him and Ospreay, that is him. Ospreay and Tony Khan took Triple H's comments about not wanting to hire younger wrestlers who preferred a lighter schedule. It was a bit of a shot at Will Ospreay. Yeah. There was some reports as well yesterday that Ospreay didn't want to cut that promo, or was told to cut that promo, and he didn't have the best feeling about it. That is apparently not the case. Another great report here from Fightful Select. Shout out to Sean Rossap, we saw him over the weekend. The Aerial Assassin was fine with the promo's content, having worked on it with AEW's creative team. They also considered taking another shot at Punk, because obviously he was having little jabs at Ospreay. Was it the Miz he was talking about?
Yeah,
he was talking
like,
of it and said,
get the attendance tattooed on you. Yeah, that was a clear shot.
I think that's a very good move to not have another shot at Punk on that TV show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad they swerved that one. You know what? In isolation, if it hadn't happened on the same week as the Punk footage and all of that, I don't mind with Will Ospreay clapping back here at all. Why did Triple H say that about him?
I don't know.
I know he didn't mention him by name, but come on, you'd have to have a malfunctioning brain to not see who he was talking about.
Like, I get it, WWE want to dunk on AEW, and occasionally they do it well. What was the code for their Money in the Bank weekend? All WWE or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Sometimes
stuff like that's just playful,
exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah,
but it's like the biggest weekend of the year. It's the best WrestleMania ever, and you don't need to be punching down on
exactly.
AEW.
Like, why did they punch down on Will Ospreay? Why?
Especially not Ospreay, yeah, because he could end up there eventually. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Why did Paul Levesque, who booked a very good show, 2 nights, why on the week of that show, historic event, why did he choose to make it all about AEW and Will Ospreay at that point? That was really strange to me. And to me, Will Ospreay's the guy punching up here. He's more than entitled to clap back. I have no problem with the stuff that he said on the show whatsoever. If someone is punching down on you, absolutely snap their wrists off.
Yeah, we love pettiness here at What Culture, but there's a time and a place for it.
Absolutely.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At What Culture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us on X. First question today comes from Nerdbox.
Nerdbox!
Great question, considering what we've just been talking about. With the Bucks being heels and playing that part during the release of the footage, making Punk the babyface, arguably, in Nerdbox's opinion, should AEW go all in becoming a heel-fed? Can TK become a heel character like Vince did after Bret Hart left?
I hate this idea.
Yeah, please God, no.
Yeah. No disrespect, Nerdbox. Thank you for the question. No, I hate heel authority figures. I hate making the promotion the enemy. All that seeks to do long term is turn people against you. WWE did it for years and years and years, and out with their peak years, all it did was shrink the audience. It's not the case anymore, and the promotion's a lot better for it. The time of the heel authority figure has come and gone. I also think that Tony Khan's not the most natural guy on TV.
No.
He wouldn't perform the character well. And
I take some sadistic pleasure in it.
Oh yeah, like it would be perversely enjoyable. Yeah. But Tony himself would sit down and go, "Look, I'm not a natural on camera. I don't want to do this." This is the last thing I want to see.
Yeah, you've arguably got heel authority figures on AEW television, and it's one of the few times I actually like it with the Young Bucks and the way that they do things. I do not need a proper, person running the show. Just, like you said, we had 2 decades of it easily.
Yeah, like the authority and Stephanie dressing people down.
No, moratorium on all that for about 10 years. The Bucks have pitched it really well and made me think maybe heel authorities aren't that bad. But God, no, we can't have Tony Khan on screen being it. And especially with the allusions to Vince, you just don't want to do that.
He should never be an on-screen character. I don't mind him making the odd appearance when he has to, which he does.
Yeah.
Usually when it's like, hey, I bought Ring of Honor, or hey,
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, or when he's like paying tribute to someone,
yes.
or whatever. But No, please no, don't. Just get back to doing really kick-ass wrestling. Just do that.
Dynasty's in like what?
Next
week
week.
and a bit, yeah.
And look, their focus for me now should be, let's just have one of the best pay-per-views in company history.
Let's stop arguing about AEW and Tony Khan and CM Punk and argue about how you would say the word dynasty, because that's all apparently I get half the time. Dynasty, yeah. British, say dynasty. Thank you very much.
I'm not British, so I don't care.
Okay. Captain OCD says, good morning, you gorgeous people. Must not have realised I was back on the news today. Can you see A-Town Down Under being the arrogant heels and claiming they can beat any two people that they've not beaten in a tag match on SmackDown, only for the siren to hit, and out come the Wolf Dogs, who then beat them. God, I love the Wolf Dogs.
Yeah, this would be pretty good.
Yeah.
It would be a good way to establish Braun Breaker in particular very quickly. It would be a good way to make them look like goofs, which they should, because the characters are.
Yeah.
Theory and Waller. So I'd be in favour of this. It's
a weird decision to put the tag. I get it because they're on SmackDown, but you and I were both like, huh? In that tag title match.
Pardon? Yeah, it was. It was just like the way it was done was so abrupt. It was like, this match is barely getting started.
Yeah.
How have we got champions already? I do appreciate, however, that he grabbed the belts and then like a second later, Grayson Waller went through a table.
Yeah,
I was like, each.
I rewatched that last night, and that is a rough old bump he has to take. There's a lot of people taking rough bumps in that match. Obviously, Wolf Dogs, spoilers if you haven't seen it already, but what are you doing? Wolf Dogs obviously lost the NXT tag titles just the other day, freeing them up to a proper move to the main roster. Braun Breaker's obviously been there a little bit. Baron Corbin's Baron Corbin. He's getting back on the main roster in time for France because he's going to be the most over babyface on the show. Also than Cody Rhodes, probably. And I don't sense that the A-Town Down Under reign is going to be super long. And as I said, I just love the Wolf Dog. I love the Wolf Dog so much. I barked so loud at NXT Stand and Deliver, I almost got impounded. And they said. Finally, let's move on to Jonathan Rivera, a lovely man who's regularly contributed to the news for years, and we finally got to meet him over WrestleMania weekend.
He was very nice.
Jonathan, great to meet you finally. Thank you for coming to the live show and being involved in what went down. As he mentions here, Jonathan says, now that we're all back home and have mostly come down from our trip to Philly, what was your favourite moment of your WrestleMania weekend? Other than Cody's win, mine was being a part of your what went down for WrestleMania Sunday, a total blast. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. Man, there's a lot. The live show, obviously, meeting all the great people. There you go, T-shirt, hello. Seeing The Rock properly for the first time.
The best WrestleMania entrance ever.
It was my favourite, I think.
We loved it, didn't we?
Recency bias. You had the Brahma Bull in flames, baby. It was quality. I loved seeing The Rock. I loved hearing him swear on Raw. Chant the shut up, Cubs now.
Oh my God.
Pieces of trash. He's the best. The police shutting down our shoot on Monday night was funny. I won't say any more than that.
Nope.
The guy who just took over the video on Sunday and was it Sunday or Saturday?
I can't
think it was Sunday, and just started rapping.
Okay.
But that was funny.
WW what? WWE. He's very famous in the What Culture office now.
Guy ruled. Those are my favourite moments. What were yours?
Samantha Irvin's sign on Monday Night Raw, probably.
Watch out for Diddy.
That was class. I'd arguably given nod to Samantha Irvin the entire weekend. I felt I was always a bit like, she's good.
Undisputed.
Yeah,
she's got the rasp.
A bit OTT at times, but especially watching it back, the emotion in her voice, the excitement when Sami Zayn wins, the emotion when Cody wins, she was great. Yeah, you've named it. I mean, the whole of WrestleMania, basically. Trick's reaction at Stand and Deliver was awesome. Being a part of it was one of those things I'd really built up the Jey Uso thing. I got to do it on SmackDown, on WrestleMania, and on Raw, and it is just something to behold to just be a part of that. Cody's win obviously will live forever in my memory. But if I had to nail one thing, it has to be the live show. It was just incredible. Thank you so much to everyone who came out, and fingers crossed off the back of that we get to do lots more.
I would say beating the Dudley boys in the quiz.
Oh yeah,
beat their ass savagely.
We filmed large parts of it.
Oh yeah, that's a bit of a spoiler, but
fine.
me and Simon Miller took them to the candy shop.
Team Bald, baby for life.
Hollywood balds over here, killed them.
But yeah, an amazing week. An amazing week.
Chatting crap about The Undertaker all weekend was funny.
Dead man,
you suspect the business.
There was a film on the plane back. I was trying to work out what seat you were in because there was a film on the plane called like dead land. And I was like, oh my God.
Because you had a messenger
Yeah.
in the thing. Hey, American Airlines, get your that's a swear. Get your fucking shit together. Those seats on the flight home, how narrow were they? Jeezy peeps. It's fuck.
I think I find it easier to sleep in this chair than sleep on.
It was like, and there was like a guy next to me. So I, like, not a big guy, just a guy.
Yeah.
Like a normal dude. But like, we couldn't move. Fuck American Airlines.
We are back, baby.
We're so back. And I'm sorry to that guy, because I'm a fat Hubbard at the moment. So it's like, hey, pal, sorry.
Oh, shout out to Eddie, who recommended Ishka Bibbles to us as well.
Oh, that was
that
good.
amazing
That was
Philly
really
Tuesday
good.
we finally got around to having on the Tuesday. And just all of the fans, everyone who came up to us, it was amazing. We met people from all over the world, Germany, the Bahamas, and
Brazil, several
Brazil,
people from Brazil.
yeah, there was some people who said like, oh, I watch your news videos on deployment, which was just incredible. Thank you so much, everyone, and as always, thank you for all your support throughout the years, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to justify having a jolly off to Philadelphia.
Exactly, we won't be here, baby. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in today.
Hey, stick around, there's another one coming your way later.
There is indeed, with some different news. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. It's 40 fascinating facts from every WrestleMania, including WrestleMania 40.
Bye.
See you later.